Hello, Manifestation family. God bless you. And I certainly hope I can do this topic justice. A very profound statement from Neville Goddard, one of the leaders in manifestation, from whom many of today's manifestation concepts are made from, his ideas. And he has a statement that really struck me, especially when I recently gone through his lecture of the spirits within. You often find Neville Goddard saying, God became man so that man can become God. This is a very, very profound statement to me at least. And as you listen to this video, I would like to say that to you again once more. God became man so that man can become God. Have a think about it as we go through this video, and feel free to jot down any ideas of yours, or even you can actually make use of the comment section down below this video if you have certain ideas that is like, it could be a note to yourself, it could be a note to me, and who knows, maybe we could actually play with some of these ideas in a future video as well. We know through Neville Goddard's works that he loves to refer to the Bible, and Neville Goddard, he has this idea that the Bible should actually be perceived in a metaphorical sense as opposed to in a very literal sense. So some people would label him as blasphemous, heretic, but for people such as myself, I admit that I don't read the Bible that much. Through Neville Goddard's lectures, I've actually gotten more interested in the Bible because I find that his approach, the metaphorical sense, we can then use the Bible as a means of studying human consciousness and spiritual awakening. Because what if all the people in the Bible, all the people who have books in the Bible, what if all these individuals were perceived as states of mind as opposed to people? All right, this is something that is kind of different from the Catholic view. Bear with me further. Have you ever thought, when you go to a place of worship, it could be a church, could be a temple, a mosque, at the end of the day, what we're all seeking, right, is self-actualization. Often said, the light of God is upon this person, for instance, and the use of the statement, the light of God is upon him, or he is anointed, do we sometimes feel that some religious leaders are more anointed than others? Could be true, right? Until we discover that God is in us, how are we going to conduct ourselves, especially in a position of leadership, in a religious sense, especially? I'm sure you've been to some of the sermons or some of the worship sessions where it's just painful to listen. There's a saying that great minds talk about ideas, but low minds talk about people and gossip. I have walked out of church at some times, but there are also times that I've stayed beyond the length of the service to reflect and pray. I think the true purpose of a religious leader is to be able to project God's word to the masses so that people can further want to know about God in order to become in His likeness, in order to discover their inner calling. Controversial stuff today, isn't it? Man has been often being name-called for playing God. You saw this in the news when people were lambasting scientists for cloning sheep and of promoting lab meat. But at the same time, there's something else that people find ridiculous but have grown to accept, such as growing an ear in your arm. Because now people who have lost their ears in workplace accidents or fires can have their ear back, their physical ear back. There are also other things that in the past have seemed to be very ridiculous, but today, if not for which, we wouldn't even be knowing about each other's existence. I'm talking about light. I'm talking about radio waves, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, because thanks to many scientists' contributions, and most noteworthy Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. One discovered the light bulb, the other discovered radio waves. One discovered direct current, the other discovered alternate currents and the Tesla coils. very, very controversial things in their time, but without which, where would we be today? Was it not God creating true man? We revisit the topic that I was talking about. What does it seem some religious leaders are more God-inspired, more anointed, more called than others? And the key word really is inspired. Inspiration, inspired action. I've been talking about this in many of my videos. God is in us, and through the God in us, we're able to create. And that is why we talk about co-creation in manifestation. Because to co-create, to manifest, is to bring into the world of perception something that could just be, like our potential, our unrealized potential. You ever heard of that? But true manifestation is a way of realizing these things into the world of perception. Surely some of you may have experienced flow states. Flow states are times when you find that everything is in flow. I talked about this in my last video about my airport experience with my daughter when we seemingly parted the Red Sea, which was a huge horde of people wearing a pink company shirt, and the airport departure gate terminal was closed only to open seconds after we got there. So in such a case, isn't that the recreation of Scripture? Isn't the Bible there in a metaphorical sense? Because we can relate it to our daily lives. Flow states are just like your role in life is just to walk through doors that are open for you. This makes me think of a phrase in the Bible: trust in me with all your heart, and I will lead your path straight. Flow state. At the Last Supper, Jesus gathered his disciples. And the very word discipleship, is something that we have been replicating in various organizations. When someone discovers a skill or a technique, or someone creates a certain business or business activity, and this activity needs to be transferred, passed down. A business leader would have to groom many leaders to do different roles. Among those serving key roles, eventually, when the leader comes of age and has to step down, there would be someone from the people that he has cultivated ready to step into that position. Such is discipleship. God became man so that man could become God. Jesus was sent into mankind and walked among us so that we could also, in his absence, carry this on. Because he was among us, he was man. And because God, through Jesus, was man, we also have God in us. I know I'm going round in circles a few times, but this is precisely to do a discipleship as well. Because Jesus was discipling his followers to be the leaders of the next time. So that in his absence, in God's absence, in the God among man's absence, they could continue to run the world. And it is precisely through the God in us that we have continued to create all these amazing things that we see in modern society. We think that the world now is without a God in its presence. But that is not true, because God creates with us until this very day. This is the true meaning of co-creation, because when we embrace the inspiration in us, and that inspiration is God, the inspired action. The inspired actions are from God. And because of that, we are able to co-create. And God is abundant. Many people have this mindset. To follow Roman Catholicism is to be basic, to have little wealth, the minimum. And for such reasons, not so many would consider priesthood as something to do in their life. And for the lack of the better way of putting it, forgive my bluntness. There was a priest at the church that I used to attend in my childhood. He said he joined the seminary after being dumped by his girlfriend. And his sermons still hold very detectable remorse. On the other hand, I want to talk about the mega churches out there. Some people debate that the leaders of these mega churches, they are not of God. I'm not speaking in support of mega churches. I look at an example of one of the mega churches in Singapore that did really well, New Creation Church led by Joseph Prince. I've attended it before, and I have friends who attend it, and I also have friends who have gone from Orthodox churches to attend New Creation Church. And what they notice in their lives is progress. They notice that they have actualized various things about them. They have been able to get in touch with their inspirations and live out their full potential in their careers, in their life, or even in their humanity. Even beta males becoming alpha males. Learning to be the head and not the tail. So then, is it fitting for the leader of such mega church to be bountifully rewarded in his life? I don't see much of a problem with that. However, you do not injure, you do not take away, you do not steal, you do not cause bad upon others. In life and in business, if you want to make more, if you want to have more, then solve bigger problems. And if being in communication, or if being simply the state of I am, if your I amness is able to help you to solve larger problems, it could be economical, it could be global issues. The larger problems you solve, the bigger the reward you have. Sometimes, I know, like now there's this debate about, is it like for profit, or what is the true motive behind this? Are we going mercenary? No, we're not. What if it was your inspired action that led you to do certain things? Is there a problem with that? Once you start, you cannot stop. For those of you who are on your path to self-actualization, if someone told you to stop and go the other way, would you? I don't think so, right? I'm not sure if you noticed this by now, but in this video, I'm actually doing several takes. Not several takes, but more like splice clips together. Because the inspiration is not always there. And the moment it's gone, I stop the recording, and when it comes back, I put it back on again. And this point is to say that we can be in tune, and we can be out of tune. Another interesting point I want to make is that when I make these videos, sometimes, or let's say, not just me, let's talk about you. When you want to share a thing with your friends, when you want to share some kind of a discussion topic with your friends, suddenly you piece together various pieces of life experiences, things you heard about, and form an argument or a point of discussion, right? And a lot of things that were seemingly no purpose, but we store into a memory, but out it comes. As though we were supposed to have gone through those life experiences and hear those things that had no purpose at that time, but at this very moment that maybe you were bringing this out to your friends, or you were doing a project at your school or in your work, and suddenly this amazing idea occurred to you. And it's at that very moment you realize that you truly own all those past experiences. You truly know that all those failures, even as well, prepare you for this that you're about to receive, which is success. There is a reason for everything. Everything happens for a reason. People are at a certain place for a reason. You encounter different messages at certain times for a reason. Good things happen, bad things happen. Everything happens for a reason. All this is synchronicity, not coincidence. Coincidences are but God's way of remaining anonymous for guiding us on our journey. Angel numbers appear to us to express very special existential messages. God is reminding us of His presence and showing us confirmation that we are on the right path. The best thing that we can do is to acknowledge our inner voice, the inner God in us, and live out to our fullest and be a witness to our I amness. Music. How is it possible that some music from the secular world can be so angelic and so inspirational? And how can some of this music be the repeat best study tracks for creation? When you're doing R&D, when you're doing when you're doing journaling, when you're doing something very profound, how could some of this music tracks out there, it could be violin, it could be electronic, but how could they influence us to such a degree if it was not because the tune, these ideas for this music was an impregnation in the musician's mind, and he at that moment knew that I just have to do it right now. I have to get out my paper, or I have to get out my my sound recorder to hum this tune, to scribble out some random ideas, and basically get something up and running so fast. Because how it is with inspiration. When it comes to you, you have to act upon it. How many times have we come across ideas that we achieved that have come upon us, but we didn't do something about it, and the next moment someone else done it? But at the same time, it's not just a matter of competition, but it's a matter of we just know that this idea, that's it, the game changer, and we have to do it. We cannot not do it. But from a greater macro perspective, we are but one of many in the world. We are but one of the vast human population. This is but a small portion of I amness that resides within us. But how can we act upon this I amness and project it so that everyone's I amness can make everyone that much closer to God, that much closer to being God's likeness, to continue their individual purpose of co-creation in this world? I don't know how to end off this video. I just thought of an old mentor used to tell me, a man with a dream will not be denied. A man with a dream will do great things. A man with a dream will not be denied. Because dreams are one of the ways that we can be impregnated with ideas. When we are in a state of no conscious thought, and something from our subconscious can appear to us and reach us. So I guess in closing, although I had no idea how to end this off a while ago, but I would like to invite everyone watching this video to take some time with yourself today and journal some lines as to, what do I really want to tell myself? What do I really want to tell me? And I also think of another activity you can journal as well. And I want to draw an exercise that Min Park, one of the content creators in the manifestation space that really influenced me, the 15-year-old me and the 70-year-old me are the most important personifications of self that you want to journal about in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, or the next 2 months, the next 1 week. What could I do that the 15-year-old me would be very proud of if he would come into contact with me and found out that this is what I've done? How excited would he be to know that I have come this far in life since that point of 15 years old? And the 70-year-old me, looking back, how much of a fruitful life I have lived. Let's embrace ourselves. Let's embrace the I amness within us. Let's embrace our intuitions, our whispers from a higher self, and let's create our best life. Not only that, let's make a difference to this world. And in all those areas that we have been blessed, let's also bless others as well. Because if God was man, that is what God would have done. Thank you for watching. God bless everyone.